Was the feudal system unfair to peasants? Imagine living in a time when your entire life is dictated by the land you work on and the lord you serve. This was the reality for peasants in medieval Europe under the feudal system. The feudal system was a social and economic structure that placed peasants at the bottom of the hierarchy. They faced many hardships and restrictions that made their lives quite challenging. Peasants, including those known as serfs, worked the land owned by lords or knights. Their primary responsibility was to produce food and resources for the entire community. In exchange for their labor, they received protection and the right to use a small portion of land. However, this arrangement came with significant limitations. Peasants were often required to pay rent or provide labor to their lords. This meant they worked not only on their own plots but also on the lord's fields, mines, and roads. Serfs were even more restricted, as they were legally bound to the land and could not leave or marry without their lord's permission. Their rights were minimal, and they faced punishments without any legal recourse. This situation placed them in a position that was similar to slavery, although they had slightly more rights than actual slaves. From the perspective of the peasants, the feudal system was indeed unfair. They had little personal freedom and were heavily taxed or forced to work long hours. Their lives were controlled by the demands of their lords, and they lacked any political power or legal protections. This imbalance of power made it difficult for them to improve their circumstances. On the other hand, the feudal system did offer some benefits to peasants. Lords were responsible for protecting their peasants from threats like invasions or bandit attacks. The manor system created a stable social order during a time when centralized governments were weak or non-existent. Peasants had access to land for their own subsistence, which was not always guaranteed in other historical periods. While the feudal system provided some level of security and land use, it imposed strict limitations on the freedom of peasants. They faced heavy labor demands and payments, all while being subjected to the authority of their lords. This lack of autonomy and power imbalance indicates that the feudal system was largely unfair to peasants, especially when compared to other social classes in medieval Europe.